Hi everyone, I'm Daiki, your monthly astrologer for 2021. First off, thank you for signing in to this introductory astrology video. In this video, I want to talk about a little bit about myself, talk about how these monthly videos are going to work, and talk about 2020 to bring in some context to the year leading up ahead. So a little about me first. I started studying astrology back in 2007. Before that, I was always curious about astrology and I strongly identified with being a Gemini, but I was still very skeptical about astrology until I found out that each person can be described through more than one sign, as some of you may know through your natal chart. So when I looked into my natal chart and I found out that I had more than 5 planets in Gemini, something clicked in me and I was even further interested and wanted to learn the mechanisms through interpreting astrology. So since then, I've attended many conferences, I've taken many classes by professional astrologers, done readings of my own, hosted workshops and classes of my own as well. So I'm really excited and really confident to give you guys an astrological perspective to 2021 this year. My experience with astrology has opened me up to a new world that I never knew existed. I come from an academic, scientific background, so even as I was always learning astrology in the beginning, I was still very skeptical. I always thought of arguments to put down the validity of astrology, but as I used it, as I studied it, as I learned, and as I observed events and people's behaviors, at this point I have a hard time denying its power, and I know so much of its truth and its knowledge that comes from astrology. My hope and mission for these videos is not to only guide you all through 2021 from an astrological perspective, but to help you experience astrology in a more deeper, meaningful way through cycles and patterns and timings far beyond personality traits. So since I'm making one video per month for the collective group, I just want to clarify that these videos will not be specific to any of the 12 zodiac signs. These videos are going to be generalized horoscopes for all 12 signs pertaining to everybody. Natal chart astrology is when you use an individual's birth information to cast a birth chart. These birth charts are used to interpret information about the individual. Each planet represents a different layer of our consciousness or a different side of ourselves in a natal chart. One of the 3 most important information that you can get from a natal chart is your rising sign, your sun sign, and your moon sign. Most people know about their sun sign, but when you throw your rising sign and your moon sign in, there's a lot more that you can learn from. In psychology, you can think of it as the superego, the ego, and the id, compared to the rising sign, the sun sign, and the moon sign. Through these 3 signs in your natal chart, you can learn a lot more about yourself rather than just through your one sun sign. On the other hand, transit astrology is about interpreting the passing moment and time. Normally, in a personal reading, astrologers will overlay a natal chart and a transit chart to see how the transit is affecting the individual. But in our case, we'll be utilizing a more generalized format where I'll be talking about more of the pure zodiacal energies that are transiting through the month. In transit astrology, the sun represents our focus and a spotlight of some sort. As the sun goes through each sign every month, our focus and where we can control and have free will changes throughout the year. So in our videos, I will be mainly focusing on the sun's movement and the themes that are happening throughout the month. Additionally, I'll also be talking about the full moon and the new moons. The moon takes about 2.5 days to go through one sign. So in daily astrology horoscopes, the moon is more utilized and focused. However, in our case, we're talking about monthly transits and monthly videos. So I'll only be talking about the full moon and new moon as big events when we're talking about the moon. Other things that I'll be focused on are major aspects, major ingresses, meaning planets moving into a different sign, and also planets changing direction, like retrogrades and also direct motion. I will be letting everyone know when energy is going to slow down, when energy is going to pick up, when it is the right time to move forward, when it is the right time to relax. However, I want to emphasize again that these are transit chart astrologies for the general mass. So everybody is going to have a different quality or a different level of experience through these transits. And I want to emphasize for everyone not to be oversensitive, hypersensitive with transits that are coming up. I don't want people changing their year around or their monthly schedule around because they know of an aspect that's coming up for a specific date. For this video's purpose, I want you to use this as a tool to observe, to analyze through your events, through your life of 2021, and to know when energy is at its high and when energy is at its low. I think it's important for us to not control the situation, but to observe and learn what fundamental energies are connected between the feelings and the senses that you have and the astrological transits that are going on. Now, to maximize your experience with these videos in 2021, there are two things I encourage you to do with me. Number one, I encourage you to find an app or find a website, find a routine way where you can check the moon's sign and phase. This will help you know some of your cycles, both emotionally, both physically, pertaining to the moon cycle. My videos are not going to be going in depth about the moon. So if you want to, again, maximize your experience here, knowing and being connected to the moon's phases and the moon signs will help you while you journal and go through your experiences. For me, for an example, I know through my own observation that during the new moon period, right before and during new moons, I am very tired, I am very groggy, I barely have any energy, and the world is also very quiet, meaning that the world isn't usually trying to help comfort me in these situations. I know these things. Every 27, every 28 days, it happens to me. I want everyone to have that opportunity to be able to experience this on their own so they can get a handle of their own moon cycle and a connection to the lunar phases. The second thing I encourage everyone to do, which is a little bit harder to do, is to find which of the planets you're most connected with. Now, looking at your natal chart is one thing, and then just sticking through these videos and listening to some of these transits and knowing how it's going to affect you, or now knowing how it is affecting you, will help you understand which planet you're most connected with. Again, for my example, in my case, I'm a very Gemini, Virgo, Mercurial person. Mercury has a lot of effect. When Mercury goes retrograde, when Mercury goes into a sign, when Mercury makes hard aspects, things happen to me. I feel it, I experience it. So again, I want everyone to have these kinds of experiences where they feel some sort of connection to a specific planet. Now, not everyone's going to be dead set on a specific planet or be super clear about it in their first 2, 3, or even the first year. I just want to let everyone know that it is possible, and that's hopefully something that we can work on through these monthly videos. Okay, so last off, I'm going to be talking about 2020 and how it's been leading up to 2021. I just want to point out some themes, some major planets that are in conversations, so you guys can have a good feel before we get into the monthly videos. So I'm going to start off with most likely what everyone knows about, which is Saturn and Jupiter conjuncting in Aquarius, right? Everyone knows about the super conjunction that happened December 21st. This is a big event, a big deal, because Jupiter and Saturn have been in Capricorn for Jupiter the last year and Saturn for the last 2.5 years. These are relatively slower, bigger planets, so it takes a long time to go through a specific sign. What's even more of a big deal is because Pluto is also in the end of Capricorn, and all three of these planets have been in Capricorn, making some sort of demolition team, a renovation team, tearing something down and giving some space to something completely new. Now that Jupiter and Saturn have moved out of Capricorn and is in Aquarius, things are a little bit more lighter in energy. However, the Sun is in Capricorn right now as the end of the year and in the beginning of the year. The Sun in Capricorn represents more of the rigidity, and because the Sun brings in consciousness awareness, I'm going to tell you that we're still focused on the Capricorn energy until mid-January, until Sun moves into Aquarius. We're not really going to be aware or feeling the new Aquarius vibe. We're still dealing with a lot of the Capricorn energy, as well as the full moon that just passed yesterday or 2 days ago. With this my recording, we came to a bigger understanding, a bigger consciousness, a bigger awareness, some sort of knowledge when it comes to what's really important, when it comes to our safety, what are our career and what our future goals are, what is our new stance that we're going to take, a new commitment, a new dedication. So I want everyone to know not to be so freaked out if things aren't going in your favor right now with Jupiter in Aquarius and Saturn in Aquarius that everyone is celebrating about. The energy is still on a lower end since Sun is in Capricorn, Pluto is still here, and there's still a little bit more work until we are able to step into the Aquarius energy. Taking a step back and looking at 2020, one of the biggest events was Uranus finally moving into Taurus for good. It has been in Aries since 2011 to 2019, 2020. So Uranus is the planet of innovation, change, shakeup, chaos, protest, revolution, liberation. A lot of the technology and also esoteric, like spiritual knowledge, has exploded through Uranus in Aries. Our new identities as Aries have been grown on an innovative level. Now that Uranus is in Taurus, things are more on a more material level, a resource level, a natural level, agriculture, when it comes to foundation, all these things that represented by Taurus is going to be going through a big shakeup, a big change, a big rebellion, a big liberation for the next 7 years, which is until 2026. So that's a bigger thing that we're looking at. Saturn and Jupiter. Jupiter is a 1-year transit. Saturn is a 2.5-year transit. Uranus takes a lot longer. We'll be talking more about Saturn and Jupiter as the month goes on. Getting into more of the specifics of 2020, Mars retrograded during the summer. Venus retrograded later in the fall. So both of these very interrelationship, personal relationship, female energy, male energy, our motivation, as well as our money, all these energies have been on a retrograde, have been going backwards, have been reversed, have been more focused on the inner part of our lives, part of the universe, rather than being able to move forward and fully express itself. So again, 2020 has been rather difficult because there's been so many bigger planets moving, and also some of these smaller planets moving backwards and getting some sort of reset, getting some sort of pullback when it comes to our lives. Mars only goes retrograde once in 2 years. Venus goes retrograde once in about 1.5 years. So we will be seeing Venus retrograde later next year, end of next year, but we won't be seeing Mars retrograde for another 2 years. When Mars is retrograde, the world usually loses its physical energy, its vitality, its direction, inertia, momentum of some sort in life. When Venus goes retrograde, a lot of our relationships are challenged. A lot of what is repressed has to come out, almost like a vomit once we have eaten too much or when we have received so much, but also put down so much. Another big highlight of 2020, the North Node moved into Gemini earlier this year, shifting the cosmological evolutionary perspective from Cancer energy into the Gemini energy. So last year, many of our eclipses were in the Cancer-Capricorn sector of the sky. However, in 2020, Gemini and Sagittarius have been under the eclipse's energy. This shifts our focus from family and home and our body to more communication and our mentality and our attitude, our conversation skills to the forefront. It is a whole lot to go over year 2020 in specifics. What I want you to know is that there has been a lot of challenges and a lot of inner change going on 2020. Most of us had to face a lot of our fears, a lot of our karma, and step into a new identity, a new self, and give ourselves new value, give ourselves new protection, new boundaries, new definition for what we're going to do into the future. A lot of the work we've been doing in 2020 and before that has been leading up to this moment where we are going to welcome the Aquarius energy. And so we will follow these energies in 2021 on a monthly basis. I am very excited to be your astrological guide for 2021. If you have any questions or want to book a reading with me, please follow me and message me on Instagram at rare.geo. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.